This is the Italian Citizenship Podcast, hosted by Marco Permunian and Rafael Di Furia.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Italian Citizenship Podcast, presented by Italiancitizenship.com. Of course, we are back at it again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great, thank you. And in today's episode, we wanted to talk about a recent 1948 case. And this case has caused a little bit of a stir because the judge overseeing this has made a request to the Italian Constitutional Court asking if citizenship by descent falls within the Italian Constitution, if this is something that Italy should be recognizing in the same way that it has been, and also calling into question the unlimited generational limit that exists, the lack of generational limit, rather. So, Marco, can you tell us a little bit more about this case and if people should be concerned or why they shouldn't be concerned, and what's happening in kind of just the general overall overview of this case?
But just before Marco gets into his answer, a quick word from Italian citizenship assistants and Italian real estate lawyers. Italy, the country of our ancestors, a land full of history and splendor, now at your fingertips. On this journey from April 10th to 17th, you'll explore regions that bring ancestral stories to life and attend specialized seminars on Italian citizenship, real estate, and life in Italy. Spaces are limited. Begin your Italian journey today, and for more information and to book your spot, visit ItalianAncestryTour.com. Book before December 15th, 2024 to get a €500 discount per person and give the gift of Italy this holiday season.
What happened is that in a case that was pending before the Italian court of Bologna, so in northern Italy, the judge overseeing the case requested a ruling from the Italian Constitutional Court regarding the validity of the current system and the compliance of the current system with the Italian Constitution. Why people shouldn't be concerned. First of all, there are thousands of instances in which judges on a weekly basis request that the Constitutional Court renders a decision regarding the compliance with the Italian Constitution of a specific law or set of laws. Now, in most cases, these laws are compliant with the Italian Constitution, so the Italian Constitutional Court basically gets back to the judge saying, this is all good, the laws are fully compliant with the Italian Constitution, or in some cases they make minor changes. Of course, there are instances in which there are drastic changes, but this is not going to be the case for the reasons that I will explain in a second. So, like I said, there are thousands of requests directed at the Constitutional Court with which judges request a revision of the law and the opinion of the Constitutional Court. And this is something that was done by this specific judge in the Court of Bologna. Also, this should not come as a surprise, given that the citizenship by descent process became very popular in the recent years, and citizenship by descent, iure sanguinis, became a hot topic. Basically, there are a lot of people that are interested in applying for citizenship by descent, as there are very many people that are interested in applying in other citizenships by descent. So it's no surprise that there are some judges that wonder whether the current system is compliant with the Italian Constitution. But let's talk about the legal reasons as to why it's highly unlikely that the Constitutional Court will make any changes to the existing laws that regulate the citizenship by descent process. The request that the judge sent to the Constitutional Court was very broad. So the judge basically was talking about whether it's okay that people are allowed to apply for citizenship by descent without particular connections to Italy, if it's okay that there's no generational limit, if it's okay that there's no language requirement. And these kind of requests normally are rejected by the Constitutional Court, especially when the requests are so broad, something that the parliament should be deciding. So it's highly unlikely that the Constitutional Court will get back to the judge saying that the law needs to be changed or specific laws need to be changed, because the judge didn't actually reference any specific laws. And the judge from the Court of Bologna basically included several reasons as to why maybe the citizenship laws are not compliant with the Italian Constitutional Court. And that is something, when it's done that way, that the Constitutional Court normally doesn't take into consideration, because it's the job of the parliament to issue laws that regulate such a broad topic. Normally, the Constitutional Court comes into play when it's time to decide about very specific provisions in the law and whether those provisions are compliant with the Italian law or not. In other words, if the judge had requested a revision of very specific provisions in the Italian citizenship law, then my answer would have been different. And in that situation, it would have been possible for the Constitutional Court to actually render a decision about those specific provisions, because we would have been talking about very specific provisions in the law. But here, in this case, the judge didn't really reference specific provisions and rather addressed a very general topic, which makes it nearly impossible for the Constitutional Court to issue a decision about such a broad topic.
Well, that I find absolutely fascinating, Marco, and I can't help but wonder, based on what you've just said here, if it seems completely just out of pure speculation that maybe there was not the intention actually to make a difference here, and maybe just simply the intention was to bring attention to this topic and not necessarily move forward with a change, or maybe this was just an oversight.
I'm glad you made that point, and probably that was exactly what the judge was trying to do.
Well, that's very interesting, Marco. And just kind of going off of all of this, I'm assuming best case scenario, nothing happens, nothing changes, but then worst case scenario, everything gets flipped upside down. Then there's generational limits, language requirements, and so on and so on. Or would that even not necessarily even be potentially the worst case scenario? Could it be worse? Or are there different shades of gray within how bad things could potentially change?
Best case scenario, like you said, things stay as they are, so there are no changes, which is likely what's going to happen for the reasons that we just explained a moment ago. Worst case scenario, the Constitutional Court comes back to the judge and says that some provisions are against the Italian Constitution. Like I said before, that's very unlikely because the judge didn't really reference specific provisions, but actually submitted to the Constitutional Court the whole citizenship by descent topic. So like I said before, that makes it very difficult for the Italian Constitutional Court to render a decision. Also, if the Constitutional Court was to issue a decision, there would be the risk for a discriminatory decision because, for example, if we're talking about generational limits, who says that the second generation or the third generation is appropriate in this case? Who decides what is the generational limit? Definitely not the Constitutional Court, because, for example, if they decide that you can only apply through a great-grandparent, they would be discriminating against people who have an Italian-born great-grandparent. So, like I said before, the Italian Constitutional Court doesn't really have the ability to make new laws, and here we would be talking about making new laws and really regulating the whole topic about citizenship by descent, which is something that the parliament really can only do. The parliament is the legislator, is the entity that can make new laws in the Italian system, not the Constitutional Court, which is only called to render specific decisions about the very specific provisions in the Italian law, which, like I said, it's not the case here.
Well, thank you, Marco, for explaining all of that. And I have my opinions as someone who has Italian citizenship by descent. And for years, I've been saying we don't know what things are going to look like. We don't know if things will change, how they'll change. And it seems like maybe there might not be any changes soon. But I'm definitely always of the opinion, get started as soon as possible and just move forward. Don't even ask any questions. Just start doing it already so that you can make sure you guarantee your position. But I'm curious, as a legal professional, as an Italian attorney, a lawyer in the country, qualified with a proper legal opinion, what is it that you are recommending to your clients as of this point in time? And what is your general response if people are asking you about this particular topic?
Of course, this was a isolated case, something that was brought up by the Court of Bologna. As of right now, there are no limits to the ability to apply for citizenship through a 1948 case. So if you meet the requirements, you should definitely apply. This doesn't change anything. This is the advice that I give to my clients.
Well, absolutely wonderful. And Marco, thank you so much for making yourself available for this episode of the Italian Citizenship Podcast. Of course, if anybody is looking to get Italian citizenship by descent or through any other pathway in front of them, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, ItalianCitizenshipAssistance.com, or give us a call. Our number is on the website.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you're interested in more information like this about Italian citizenship by descent through a 1948 case or through naturalization, as well as purchasing property in Italy and more, make sure that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, because if you're subscribed to this channel, that means you're automatically subscribed also to the Italian Real Estate Podcast, but also you can find the Italian Citizenship and Real Estate Podcast as audio-only podcasts on your favorite podcasting apps. Of course, also, if you're interested in more information about life abroad and living abroad and discussing from the perspective of a dual citizen expat, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, or you can search for Not Your Average Globetrotter on YouTube or your favorite podcasting app. But of course, we have been here again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian from ItalianCitizenshipAssistance.com. I'm Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we will see you all next time. Later.
Thank you.